everybody. You just entered the Stir 716. I am one of your co-hosts, Mrs. T, aka The Spark.
And I'm your girl, the Doc.
And you already know I'm your cool cousin Kim.
And we have an amazing guest with us. I know this kind of looks different today because we have someone in our studio, and I'm excited. Kim, who is this person that we have at our table with us?
I'm very excited to announce that we have with us someone I have the privilege and the honor to call my direct supervisor, and most of all, my mentor. We have Dr. Willie Underwood III, who is the president-elect for the American Medical Association. So a little bit about Dr. Underwood. He is a board-certified urologist with more than 25 years of urologic surgery experience, including more than 15 years focused on robotic urologic surgery. He was voted president-elect of the American Medical Association in June 2025. He has also served as a board member and medical advisor to the Love Canal Medical Fund Incorporated, as a past president of the Erie County Medical Society of New York, as a member of the AMA and National Medical Association Commission to End Healthcare Disparities, and as a member of the Accreditation Council for Graduate Medical Education Urology Residency Review Committee. Dr. Underwood has also chaired the AMA Council on Legislation, the Erie County Medical Society Legislative Affairs Committee, and the Medical Society of the State of New York Quality Improvement and Patient Safety Committee. Last but not least, in addition to co-authoring more than 120 peer-reviewed publications, book chapters, and published abstracts, he has received millions
With them.
yes, in research funding from the National Institute of Health, and holds patents in the U.S. and Japan for co-developing a biomarker for prostate cancer. He is the co-founder of CAPS Biotechnology LLC, which is currently conducting a larger validation study of its new and novel prostate cancer biomarker. We welcome to the Stir 716 episode 2, Dr. Willie Underwood. Let's talk about him. Let's get right into it. Let's stir it up.
Stir it up.
Stir it up.
Let's take it a little back in time, because we know who you are now.
Right.
But let's take it back to 5-year-old Willie Underwood.
Yeah.
What was that like?
So, I don't know if you mentioned it, but I was raised in Gary, Indiana. I was single parent home. My mother, who worked for Conrail Railroad, and she was, for that region, she was the first black employee that they hired.
Wow.
So she caught it.
Right, I'm sure.
So I was born in 1965.
Okay.
And you mentioned age 5, which is sort of important, because at age 5, I remember my daughter, Amina, asked me, well, Daddy, when she turned 5, what did you do at age 5? And I said, I used to go door to door and talk to people about election and electing, at that time, who was, he had already just gone to his second term, one of the first, or third term, first black mayor of Gary. First black, but he was the first black mayor in the country.
Wow.
Because he and the Cleveland mayor were elected at the same time.
Really?
Okay.
So that was Richard Gordon Hatcher. Okay. So we had just got the right to vote 5 years before.
That's right.
Wow.
So going door to
Civil
door.
Rights Act of 1965.
Ooh.
That's right, going door to door, telling people to vote and stuff like that was sort of huge.
Yeah.
And it was sort of, in some areas, dangerous. So I would go up to the door and I would talk to people about voting. I mean, this is, wow. So the reason that story is important is some things. One, it tells you the political thoughts of my family and how they were sort of raising us.
Right.
But not only that, though, the idea that your parent says, I want you to go to door to people and talk to them, and that I wanted to do it, but it also allowed me to be able to interact with people. How are you doing? I'm Willie Underwood. My grandmother is so-and-so, my mother is so-and-so. I just want to tell you that it's voting season and we should vote. I mean, whatever the stuff I was saying at age 5. So that sort of, when I look at age 5, there's two things. One, starting school and how psyched I was about starting school. That, and the fact that my mother was married to a horrible human being who was really abusive.
Wow.
And that I stood up to him. Because those three things helped shape me into all the other battles that came after that, right? Especially standing up to him. If you're 5 and you stand up to a grown man, you know that you can stand up to anybody.
Yeah.
Sure.
So if you have a family that's conscious enough that you know that voting is important and you're 5, that means that they're also talking to you about other stuff.
Yes.
And you're getting an education that shows you your role in society, right? That you're not just, a passerby sitting on the sideline, that you actively participate in our country and in our future, in our future. Right. So that sort of set that up. So then at age 8, I was called in the room. My cousin Terrence and I were the same age. I was born in January, he was born in August. And we were told to sit outside the room, and my grandmother was in there, my 2 aunts, Aunt Joanne, Joyce, and my mother, they were in the room, and we thought we were in trouble. Like really the whole time trying to get our story straight. We're trying to get our story straight. Right? What did they catch us on? What did we do?
Yeah.
Right? And I'm gonna say you did it. So they called Terry in first. So Terry came, and I can still remember his face. He sort of came out of the room like with aggression. I figured he had dropped a dime on me about something. So I go in, and my Aunt Joyce, says, "What do you mean when you grow up?" And I said, "Whatever 8-year-old says, 8-year-old says." Right? They said, "Well," and I remember she looked at me and she turned, to my aunts and mother, and she then looked around and said, "We've decided," she says, we've decided that we need a doctor and lawyer in the family, and Terrence has decided he's going to be the attorney. So what does that make you?
A doctor.
Ooh.
Right?
Speaking
We
of
need to bring that back.
That's it.
Yes.
It's not too much autonomy.
So
within
then I said, "Well, I don't want to be a doctor."
Right.
I said, "Why not?" I said, "Because I hate wearing ties."
Okay.
And my mother said, "Yeah, I can see that," because I did not like wearing ties. So my aunt, a few days later, produces a picture of a white guy who's supposed to be a doctor.
Right.
And he's wearing a turtleneck, right? And she says, "See, you don't always have to wear a tie. He
Yes.
wears a turtleneck, right?" But he was a pediatrician. The whole sort of story that actually makes sense. But that's fine. But what did that do? That said a lot.
Yes.
It says, we have expectations for you, and those expectations are big, all right? And that there's a purpose for your life, and we're going to help you achieve that purpose.
Purpose for your life.
Power of
Right. But there's a whole lot of stuff that happened, like 1974. So the Supreme Court passes outlawed restricted covenants.
Okay.
Right. So when they outlaw restricted covenants, black people can move to areas that they couldn't move to before.
Right.
So there's a part of Gary that was on the lake that was all white.
Okay.
My mother read that in the paper, like no joke.
Y'all stuff
She
up.
she pretty much. She read it in the paper.
Right.
She jumped in the car, drove to that area, and the first house she saw for sale, she put a bid on it.
Wow.
The first house. Now I wish she would have gone a little farther.
Little further.
Literally, and we lived next to this church and stuff, and then we got the house. But it was whole thing, that whole process, though. The process, I was a part of it, right? So I understood that they didn't want us living there. I understood that, what was the law like? What is this thing? These are different conversations, and we try to shield our children from the reality of the world.
Yes, we do.
When the truth of the matter is, if we teach them to understand it, then they can learn how their role in it and how to deal with it.
Yes.
Right? So now I moved there, and I gone from a private school to there, and the teachers decided I wasn't worthy of an education. I mean, they literally told me that. Well, take our time away from the other children who are more worthy. Right. So they put me in a remedial class that were all the black males were in.
You, Dr. Underwood, today, President-elect of the VMA was in
correct. So I'm in a remedial
class.
3rd grade to the 6th grade.
Wow.
So I take a test in the 6th grade because it was miserable. I mean, I hated going to school, and I was getting in trouble. And the stuff I was getting in trouble wasn't that I was doing bad things. I was getting in trouble because of my mouth. Because they said stuff, and I challenged what they said, because what they said was white supremacy crap.
Okay.
Right?
And I didn't call it that because I didn't know what that was, but I knew what they were saying wasn't factually true.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And-
Okay.
Or it didn't make sense.
And I think you still do that to today.
Correct. So, you know, and some of it was just outright. So Father Marquette, I went to Marquette school, and Father Marquette was named after. We went on a field trip, and we seen Father Marquette, and he has a Bible, and he has a sword, and one of my classmates said, "Why does he have a sword?" And I said,
What did you
the
say?
reason he have a sword because he told the natives of his land, "Take the Bible or I'll kill you,"
Oh my gosh.
which was true. Okay, and then they told me I had to sit on the bus.
You're going back.
Yeah,
You're going back on the bus.
And they would do stuff like call my mother. My mother worked in Chicago. She worked on if clear traffic. It's a 40-minute drive from her work. They would call her. She would have to literally leave work, come and pick me up, and they wouldn't let me catch the bus home and take me through. You know,
I'm
it's
surprised
like-
she didn't ask Father Marquette, let me that sword.
Right.
No, but think about it, my mother never ever punished me for any of that.
Wow.
Okay.
She would say, "Did you eat? Did
Yes.
you think? I gotta leave you home by
Yes.
yourself. I gotta go back to work. You gotta be cool. You good? Good. And but I got it. Now, if I did something, it was a whole different.
Different, right.
She ain't play.
I'm sure.
She
Yeah.
ain't play like that. I mean, she
Yeah.
hit you whatever was in there.
But she wasn't going to punish you for
For that,
speaking your
that's
truth.
right,
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
Speaking
Yeah.
the
Right,
truth.
for challenging, but then
Yes.
she did talk to me about why I was. Cause I didn't understand why I was even getting in trouble.
Right.
So then she taught me why I was getting in trouble, and then I was able to temper my thoughts and stuff like
Right.
that. So the main story is this. So I take a test in the 6th grade, going to the 6th grade, and I'm on the 3rd grade reading level. The test that I
Repeat that
took,
again, you're in the 6th grade on a what?
3rd grade reading level.
Wow.
So I'm 3 years behind my peers. So then they looked at the test when I left the Catholic school and repeating 3 years later, because I left going into the 3rd grade. I was on the 3rd grade reading level when I left and finished the 2nd grade and was on the 3rd grade reading level 3 years later, what meant that me going to school was a waste of my time.
Right.
And that's for most of us.
Yeah.
I was going to
Right.
say that's today.
Currently now,
Correct.
in Buffalo, the
Correct.
reading level is,
Correct.
for the average 3rd grader is way beyond, and then
That's
you
right.
go back up to the 6th grade, even further behind.
Correct.
Right.
And that's that study was looked at back in the 70s.
Okay.
And we keep allowing this stuff to happen. Okay, so, but I was on the 7th and a half grade math level because my aunt was a teacher, and she would have math books, and I would get the books and I would work problems in the book, give it back. She'd give me another book, and I would work problems in the book.
Right.
So I was teaching myself mathematics. Okay, so now the other kids and started to behave like them, right? So I was getting high, I was doing stuff, and I was probably well on my way to go to prison and not to college.
Wow.
Wow.
So then the summer between the 7th and 8th grade
So
year.
to our listening audience, if you haven't grabbed your kids yet and have not made this a family
Man, I'm
listening
telling
session,
you,
now's the time.
Now is the time.
And also individuals that may relate to him should be
Or
listening.
think that it's too late for a turnaround
Exactly.
for their kids. Dr. Underwood
Right.
is a direct indicator that it's not too late
It's
and
never too
turnaround
late.
can happen.
Right.
I love this story.
And I'm gonna tell them how I did it.
Okay.
So
Listen
I'm
up.
now 6th grade, 7th grade, so I have a vision, and the vision was clear. The vision said, what happened to you was criminal, but what's happening, but what you're doing to yourself is more criminal.
Wow.
Right? So then I basically prayed, and here was the prayer, and I've tried to live my life up to this prayer. And the prayer was this: God, help me to make my dreams come true, not for me, so that others, when they see me, they'll know what's in them.
My God.
That's it. That's all. That's my ask.
And
Right?
that sounds like a 6th grade.
That's my ask.
Yes.
That's my ask.
Yes.
So I sat down, and I did play football, and I understood how to set stuff up. So I treated 3 columns, and I said what I'm bad at, what I'm good at, and what I'm great at. The great had nothing. The good had math, and the bad had a whole list of everything, right? Of everything. So then I basically said, okay, I'm gonna work to take stuff from the bad list to the good list, from the good list to the great list.
Yes.
And what's my process of doing it? And I just followed the process, right? And I would ask teachers questions that they didn't understand, like, hey, you gave me this thing to read. How long should it take to read it? right? And they would say, oh,
Right,
you should
right.
be able to read, you know, you should be able to read, you know, Julius Caesar in one sitting. So I said, okay. Now, I didn't understand that that was all BS.
Right.
So then I sat in a chair, like it was Saturday morning. I sat in the chair and I didn't move,
Wow.
right, until I finished it. Now it was hours when I finished it.
Right,
And my
right.
mother and them were like, are you hungry? I'm like, yeah.
I'm gonna finish this good.
Finish my sitting.
Correct. I'm not getting up because I literally, I was a
Yes.
literal person.
Yeah.
One sitting meant that literally one sitting. I'm going to sit here and read this
Read this.
Right,
until
right.
I'm done.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
And I basically did that. So then what happened, it's sort of like it's an analogy that I use in football and running when I started playing football. And that was when I first started running with the team, I would be like a lap behind them. And I got up every day and practiced and trained. And then I eventually caught up to the last person. And I was running with the last person who was a group behind them. He was still last. And I said, hey, you're looking at him. And my voice in my head said, you don't belong back here. So then I ran and caught up with the rest of the pack. And then I looked at him and said, I don't belong back here.
Wow.
And then I got to the middle of the pack. I don't belong back here. Then I got to the lead group, and I was running with the lead group, and which was good. You go from way to the back, now I run
To
with the
lead.
lead group. And then I'm looking at them, and I said, you know what?
I don't know.
I don't belong here.
Ooh.
See ya. Correct. And for
love
the
it.
rest of the time, when I played football until I never played again,
Uh-huh.
they always was behind me. They chased
Wow,
me.
wow.
Right?
Wow.
That was the game. No matter the running backs, no matter how fast they were, I was going to practice and train. So your butt will be looking at my butt. I mean, that's the whole
You look at-
vibe,
exactly.
the whole way, right?
Right. Wow.
So that's the same thing I did in academics, right? It's the exact same thing. You sit down and say, what do I need to do? So these folks in this room are looking at my butt.
And
Right.
and
Sir,
term that you
listen.
taught me, Kim, you better KATN, kick ass,
Take
take
names.
names.
Take names.
That's the
Like that
whole,
now.
that is, that's the
Amazing.
whole bottom line. Okay, right? And then everything
Right.
becomes everything. Everything else is that. It's
Yeah.
that this thing you learn. Hey,
Yeah.
here's the deal. Then I got good friends, got surrounded
Right,
with good people,
right.
with mentors and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But you know, best friend Nate, we became friends, you know, at 12, and we're friends now. Matter of fact, we spent
Excellent.
2.5 hours on the phone
Right, right.
this morning, right?
Yeah.
You know, and then say, how do we think about how to develop these things? So that's it, and everything else comes from that.
Comes from that. Now, I want to make this point because I think you made an excellent point when you talked about how it was auntie and it was mom and it was
Yes.
dad. That's called your village.
Really.
Correct.
Now, one of the issues that we have today, especially in the black and brown community, is that we really don't have a village. It almost seems like it's us four and no more, right?
Yeah.
And so sometimes when we have children in the households, you know, they're not getting, you know, no one's asking them what do you want to do, because you know why? Because mom is working
Yeah.
2 jobs,
Yeah.
and really she just wants you to go to school and behave so that she can do what she has to do. I mean, tell us from right now, I mean, like when you talk to young people now, because I know you talk to young professionals, you're talking to people who have children, what should we be doing as a community to help to lift each other up, those of us that don't have a household as supportive as what you have?
So you know you hit the nail dead on the head. That there were, you know, again, there was no father there, but there were a lot of people that taught me a lot,
Sure.
like all the time.
Yeah.
There were a lot of people that actually showed me that they believed in me, and taught me stuff. Right? I mean, just everything. I mean, you think about it. I didn't have anyone to teach me how to tie a tie. Like, I mean, you know,
Yeah,
right? How did you learn how to tie? And there was no Google. I'm on video.
Yeah, right.
Right? It was like, hey, you know, some
Yeah.
guy. I'm in
Sitting
church.
there.
Yes,
I'm in,
for
and he go,
sure.
oh, let me show you, son. Let me,
Right.
you know, let me show you because your grandmother is looking for you up front.
Right.
I'm like, take your time. I don't want to go up front. I'm like, no, let me show you how to tie this tie. You know, I'm like, no, don't show me. Oh no, you know, I don't want no clip on.
You know.
You know, I gotta go up front
Listen.
and sit in front row, right? I didn't want to do that.
Right.
So that was torture. But, you know, 'cause my grandmother would be like, you got to read the Bible for real.
Oh man.
So yes, you're absolutely correct.
Yeah.
Right, and that's our way forward out of the situation we're in, is either to turn on each other or support each other.
Wow.
And the reason we were successful in the past is that because we supported each other.
Right.
We
Believe it.
all worked together for each
Yes,
other.
sir. Unity.
When you know, my grandmother had a garden, all the black folks had a garden.
Yes.
Right? But she ain't work, she grew what she grew. And she shared the rest with everybody else who shared their stuff with her. Right? She ain't say, well, I got these collard greens are all mine.
Yeah.
Right? You know,
Right.
I grew
Right.
them, right? She goes, oh no, we gonna do this and hear the rest. And then she gave it freely of her heart.
There's true.
And everybody gave stuff freely of their heart.
Right.
And there were people who gave to, you know, so when I was in college, I mean, I was broke. I mean, seriously, there were times I used to beg for food. I mean, like, and they were, there was an older lady, you know, they didn't have much. She would send me like $4, $6.
Okay.
I think the most she sent me was like $6.
Wow.
Okay.
And I mean, that money used to come there on time. It used to come on time.
May not come when you want it, but it came right on time.
Man.
Wow.
And I was like, you know, and so, you know, I told my grandmother, I said, you know, that lady met me one time.
Really?
She met me one time and used to send me money. And she had no money.
Yeah.
She had no money.
But she believed that.
Correct. She used to
Isn't that
send me
something?
money. Right? I mean, like you get that $4, $6.
Yeah.
I mean, man, I was like, I can eat today.
Yeah,
That's right.
So
That's
that's
it's
a blessing.
correct. It's sort of that,
Yeah.
right? That thing that without that, and plus, there were people who didn't listen, and there were people who listened.
Yeah.
You know, who we didn't. Hey, and we learned the lessons. Like when Nate and I were talking about this morning. So this guy Frank was a cop, and Frank had a couple businesses, and one of them was a liquor store. So what we'd do early Saturday morning, we would go pick up the alcohol from one place and put it in the back of his Blazer and take it to another place. Now, none of this is legal, right? But the work was hard work, you know, until my aunt found out about it and was like, you can't be doing that. Because every dollar you had to account for.
Right.
You couldn't bring no money up in the house.
Right.
And they don't be like,
Where you get that from? Where you get that from?
We all heard that.
Yeah, you may take that. But they don't do that now. It's not the same now.
correct.
Not the
You
same.
know
You got some parents that be like, well, some of that belong to me.
Yeah.
You
You
live
had to,
here.
you know, I'd be like, oh, I worked with Frank. We did. What you do?
Yeah.
Oh, Frank, the cop Frank. I'm gonna call that motherfucker. You got my damn nephew doing some illegal stuff.
Yo, that's how mom did.
That's how they were though.
Yeah.
You're like, you know.
Yeah, we're gonna stop this behavior right now.
Right now.
You know, but
Right
we
now.
know who's illegal. We ain't care. We're just working. We're just trying to figure out, you know, really how to have a little extra, couple extra dollars,
Yeah.
you know, and to do stuff, right? So, and then you gotta talk about that. But what Frank did, he would talk to us, right? And he made it clear, hey guys, you got a couple choices. Right?
Yeah.
I couldn't go to college.
But you can. And that's what I think we're missing now, because the encouragement is not there anymore.
Correct.
Where it's almost like I always say, we have this crabs in the barrel mentality where I'm not going to help you get any further than I am.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But when you talked about village and you talked about how, you know, someone's sending you money, I remember a time where you used to go down 2-3 doors down and borrow sugar from someone. You can't, or flour.
Yeah.
You can't
Yes.
do that anymore, because they're gonna say, I don't have it. They do have it, but they're not gonna give you. You understand?
'Cause
I
it's the
remember,
heart.
and I
He said
remember
it's the heart.
it's the heart.
It's the
And I
heart.
remember where, you know, neighbors can, hey, they see you doing wrong, they discipline you. Like, get out of the street. Cars is
Correct,
running.
correct.
We used to, and you took that.
You
And
hitting
said,
on something.
and
We've also
then-
lost the
yes.
respect
Of the
amongst
elders.
each other, respect of the elders amongst each
Yes.
other,
Correct.
and that has also
Authority.
caused the age gap. So
Yes.
now you have older folks that are hesitant in disciplining or
Because the
reprimanding.
repercussion, the
I don't
repercussions
blame
that
them.
come.
Because they got a fool out there that hurt them.
The school
Yeah.
I went
Yes.
to, the teacher
Yes.
whooped me and told my mom. My mom whooped me, and then when my mom told my uncle or my aunt, it's like, man, how many of y'all gonna get on me?
How
I'm
many
not
women?
Correct. The road you walking in my grandmother's house. Tell your grandmother what you did. I'm like, no, I don't wanna. And my grandma would be like, come on, baby.
Right.
Go ahead, tell her. It's gonna be okay. I'm like, you lying? It ain't gonna be okay. I know how this rolls. You don't know what I did.
I really like that fact. I really like the fact, though. I mean, I was just sitting here in awe when he said that the women called them in the room.
Listen.
And the first thing you're thinking that you're in trouble, but we coming in here, we calling you in because we know, as a young black man, we know you're gonna have struggle.
But you got destiny.
But you got destiny in you, and we don't have that, and that's just something if we can bring that stuff
and
back.
what his aunt and his mother did is something that a lot of other cultures, the Asians and the Indians do, okay, that we are no longer doing. We have enough football players. We have enough
Would you say so?
players. We have enough rappers, okay? You need to be letting your children know, look, you got some choices.
Yes.
And the indigenous Africans do it, right?
Yeah. You know, you said you're not going to be here. What made you choose to actually be a doctor? What was that?
He ain't have a choice. He ain't choose.
No, but but he said he played football and he was there. But I'm saying, like, what made you? At what point did you decide? You know what? I don't have to wear.
thing.
Yeah, I don't have to wear the tie. I can wear the mock neck, turtleneck.
No, I mean,
you know what I mean?
right then and there, that was it. It was game on after that.
It was game on after
I
that.
mean, it was game on.
So speaking about game on, what made you choose? I know you went to Morehouse for undergrad.
Awesome.
What made you choose Morehouse? Was that influential with your mom and your aunt as well? Because there's a couple of places you could have went.
Yeah. So there's a story there. So my aunt wanted Terry, my cousin, to go to Morehouse.
Okay.
So they went down there to
Where
visit.
Terry at? Because
So they wanted Terry to go there, and he went to visit, and we were different elk people, different. So he went there to visit, and he goes, "Oh no, I ain't coming there. I ain't going there." So then that was sort of it, and then my aunt was maneuvering, so because Terry's her son, so she was a stockbroker and all this, so she was maneuvering, and she said, "Okay, if I can get Billy to go, will he go?"
who's Billy?
Me, but that's the thing.
We
Don't
know.
ever call me that.
We know.
So he said, if we can get him to go, then the rest of the crew, my grandmother, then will force Terrence to go, and we good to go, right?
Okay.
So she says, "Hey, you're at Morehouse," and I'd never heard of it, and I was like, "Really? Yeah." They said, "Oh, let me show you the brochure."
Yeah.
And the brochure said, "Be somebody, be a Morehouse man." That was it.
That was it.
Listen, to our listener audience, if you're listening, you went to Morehouse. Drop a comment below, show us some love.
And you went to HBCU.
Or an HBCU.
Yes.
Give us a like, follow us, and drop a like in the comment.
Because this whole idea is all male and all that, right? People, so be someone, be a Morehouse man. At the time, they were getting 35 black men in medical school a year. So the program is getting 35, which is like, so, and again, being numbers, putting this whole thing together, it is easier to be one of 35 than it is to be one in every 5 years, right? So if you look at these schools and you say, well, here I am, black male, right? And there's 35 of them going to medical school a year. I just got to be one of the 35, right? Then I'm going to get in.
Yes.
Okay, right? Now over here, they got a black dude and got into medical school 5 years ago. That's a different environment than the one that's putting 35 in medical school a year, right? And I mean top. They put people in Harvard. We're putting people in the top medical schools across the country. That was like the thing.
Yeah.
So now I'll show up and I get in. So the whole thing was wild. So first, I'm a top athlete playing outside linebacker. I never wanted to play in college. I never wanted to play for the NFL. I was good because I believe in domination. If I'm on this field, I'm gonna be the baddest dude on this field.
You was practicing dominion.
Yeah,
dominion.
I'm gonna be the baddest dude on this field. That's just the way it is. Or I'm not gonna be out here. Right? I put on this uniform.
That's what I come to do.
Correct. I come to play. Okay, right? So and that was it. So then you had that. So then I said, okay, football for me is a crutch. If I can't get into school of my choice, I can go to them and say, I'll play for you, play for a year and then quit. Because once I'm in, I'm in.
Yeah, you're in.
Okay, right? So that
Right.
was another reason why I held on to it. Right? So now I applied to Morehouse, the thing, and I didn't know how hard it was to get in, how challenging, none of that I knew. Right? So I get in and there was a teacher, there was a counselor who wasn't my counselor. We had one black counselor. Wow. The rest of the counselors would tell us, you go to the service, you take, you drop out of class, you go here and take a take a trades course and all this kind of silliness,
yes.
right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I'm outside before wrestling practice talking to my girlfriend, and Eddie Campbell, who I played football with, Eddie is coming by and she's literally chasing him because Eddie was one of her students, right? And she goes, and Eddie stops and says, I don't know why you're trying to get me to go to Morehouse. Willie's going. You should talk to him. And Mrs. Reed says, Willie, you going? I said, yeah. She said, what are you going to major in? I said, well, I want to be a doctor. I'm majoring in biology. She said, show up my office first thing in the morning, da-da-da. So I show up there, and her son had gone to Morehouse the year before. And he was in the summer program with T.J. Blocker, and he had dropped out after a year.
Wow.
Okay, so then now she says, she tells me all this, and she says, this is a great program, and she gets Blocker on the phone. Tom Blocker, who ran the program, gets him on the phone. And Blocker, he's talking to me, and he goes, look, we have, this is like May, beginning of May, and the program started June 2nd, right after June 4th or June 6th, and we graduated June 2nd. And he's talking to me about the program and stuff, and he says the program is $900 and all this, and I literally said, man, I ain't got no money.
$900.
I said, I ain't got no money. I said, I ain't got no money. I said, I ain't got no money.
Right.
And he goes, can you get here? I said, well, yeah, I guess I can. I'll figure it out. He goes, well, if you get here, we'll take care of you.
Wow.
And we'll give you a stipend, and you get money when you leave, right?
Wow.
So I said, all right. So he says, you're automatically accepted, but you got to fill the application out, but you're accepted. So I go home and I tell my family that, and my Aunt Joyce, again, the broker, mother and educator, so Joyce is like, that can't be true.
Right.
He's something. So she calls him up, and she calls me back, and she said, it's true. It's real. I've asked around, I've talked to people, because like Maynard Jackson was her friend. I mean, she knew people. Jesse Jackson. I mean, this is this is political folks. Yeah. So they're all saying, yeah, this is legit.
Right.
So
Tom
she
Blocker ain't no no.
It's correct. And this is real. So basically, I go down there. And I literally had $90 in my pocket. This guy, Walt Smith, whose father was a dentist, was going down there. She knew Walt Smith, the dentist, and then she hooked us up. So we flew down there together. Aww. And I didn't realize that, you needed to have a hotel or something the night before, because things when I got there didn't have a hotel. Walt Smith the dentist gave up his bed, let me sleep in it, because he said he was calling, like the little side bed. But I woke up and he was on the chair. Sleeping. I mean, like this whole thing, man. I mean, they're blessings. Yeah. So Walt Smith's father was, he dropped us off. I got to go play golf. Peace out. So we're there. So it's 40 of us in the room. And Blocker walks in. He gives his speech and he says, raise your hand if you want to be a doctor. We all raised our hand. So of that 40, 35 of us are MDs and DDSs or DDSs.
Wow. So that's a great potential.
Right.
That's good.
35. Now here was the deal. Within the first week, you knew who the other 5 were going to be.
Right.
Because you saw that they weren't hungry. They weren't dedicated.
Yeah.
Now, these are a bunch of brothers with perfect SAT scores. I've never seen black men like this.
Yeah.
I mean, these
So it
are
was an
brothers.
experience for you.
I ain't in their league. These are brothers with perfect SAT scores.
Wow.
I mean, you're talking about some smart, well-educated, and I'm a jock on, what?
What's going on there?
But what I realized, though, going back to football, all I had to do was to keep up with the pack. Right? I said, if I keep up with if I keep up with the pack, then I'm gonna be one of the 35.
Right.
Right? Because those cats over there, they ain't not willing to keep up.
Right.
And I'm willing to stay up as long as I need to stay up. I want to be as hungry as I need to be. I mean, these cats, most of them, their families were physicians. I mean, they had resources, they had money. I had, son, I'll send you some money, and then they never call me. Literally, I used to go to Miss Winters and Burger King and McDonald's and beg for food. I don't say that. I mean, that's a fact.
Wow.
It's a fact, right? I took my daughter there when she was young and said, you see those places? Yeah, I used to beg for food in those places. I need you to understand that. I need you to understand that, right? That this ain't fall, this is some drug out of hell stuff.
Yeah,
this ain't falling out of heaven.
Yeah,
this ain't, what you got, what you got.
Yeah.
Correct. That's
But it
why
shows-
I-
it shows
that's
your
correct.
grind.
Correct.
It shows your
I'm dug out. I was in a hole digging my butt out.
Right,
And now
right.
you know, when I give you this, you better be like, oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciative.
Because you understand what this,
Yeah.
what
What you
this
gotta go
actually,
through.
correct, what it actually means, right? But that's what it means for a whole lot of us.
Yes.
And that's what it meant for
Yes.
generations of black people.
That's
who
right.
were,
That's right.
You know, making a path for us. So,
Absolutely.
and we don't talk about that. We don't explain that. We don't show that. We go, oh, it's all good. Hell no, it ain't good.
It ain't
It ain't
good.
good. My life is hell. You think it's good now?
Right,
I got
right.
people trying to assassinate me every damn day.
Right.
You know, you gotta
Yeah.
understand that. You gotta be ready for that, right?
Right.
So yeah, and then the rest was just me with Blocker and my friends and all those guys who
Yeah.
really helped me, just like Nate when we were growing up. You know, having the right people at the right time.
Yes.
You know, and what I tell people is this: you do your part, and God will do the rest.
Absolutely.
You know,
Ooh,
right?
I
But
love
you gotta
that.
do your part.
Do your part.
You gotta do
That's
your
right.
part. You
Absolutely.
can't worry about what people do and don't do,
That's
say
it.
and don't say. God will give you the right person at the right time, but you gotta be ready for the blessing.
Right.
Yes,
Right? If you haven't done, you know, at night, I'm playing video games, right, while the other kids are studying, then you understand why they're kicking your butt. They're kicking your butt because you're playing video games.
That's it.
Right,
No,
right, right,
right? I had
right.
to work, I had a job. My freshman year, I went to class. I worked after school, and I worked at this vegetarian, vegan restaurant. And I would get home at 11 o'clock. So from 11 to 12, I hung out in the hallway talking to people because I knew that I couldn't be this person that they never saw and never talked to.
Right.
Because then they think I'm, you know, right then they
Right.
don't know me.
Yeah.
Right. And I, you know, so then that would be the time I would get to know them. I shoot the crap with them for an hour,
Yeah.
and then I would study from midnight to 6 a.m.
Oh, wow.
And right, and then that's when I would like start getting ready to be in class at 8 o'clock.
Wow.
Right, and you know I would sleep for a couple hours, hour and a half, get up and go to class. I mean, and
You
I
were
did
practicing kung fu,
Yeah.
fighting sleep.
that. And I did that. And I did that. I mean, I did it.
Wow.
Right,
That's
I just
amazing.
did it. I mean, I didn't like. I just did it.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, why did I do it? Because I had to. Right? If I'm gonna get to where I'm going,
Your end goal.
Yes.
and I gotta do this.
Absolutely.
Why did I work? Because that's how I ate. Right?
Right,
You know, you
right.
say if I'm gonna have 2 cents, and then I was paying my own tuition. So my mother would call me up and say, you know, I need you to go over there and find out what's going on. I said, Mom, what you doing? Talk about. She goes, well, I got a bill for $1,000. Then they send another one for $600. Then they send another one for $200. This doesn't make any sense. I said, Mom, I don't think you own anything. Don't worry about that too. I think that $200 is wrong too. They don't know what they're
Right,
doing.
right.
Don't worry about it. And she didn't know, right? I was like, she didn't know I was paying the tuition.
Wow.
Right? I was paying the tuition. Why? Because this is mine.
Yeah.
That's it.
Right?
Right.
This ain't hers.
Yeah. it was
Well, I'm gonna sit around and say, Mama, you know, my mother had no damn money. She was trying to figure out how to
Got
feed
some people
herself.
still paying they children's student parent plus loan, all these different things.
No,
and having
But,
no-
but
Yeah,
you didn't want to put that on her. She already had enough burden.
Correct. Because my mother went to work pocket and she wouldn't eat. And I ate.
Jesus.
Yes. Yeah.
And then that's what drove me.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what drove me. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, even now I get teary eyed when I think about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
She's working 16-hour
All
days.
those sacrifices.
She's eating. And I'm sitting there,
Yeah. And not knowing that she's sitting there hungry.
well,
Oh my
correct.
God.
Correct. Then you go,
Jesus.
oh no, so I'm gonna go to school and call her up and be like, oh Mom, I need you to carry me.
No.
I'm a grown ass man. Figure
Wrong.
this out.
Listen, you just
Figure this
said.
out.
And it's, you know, it's so true. And then
You just said
to the people who are listening, because I think that, you know, this is awesome that it's coming from you, a black male.
That's
who
right.
who other people have some of the same similar struggles, but did not have that determination or didn't have that
That's
support.
it. That
So they
fight.
fell. But
Yeah.
just to see that someone that looked like you actually
Yes.
made it. So, you know, we hear all this time, you know, around athletes, they always talk about you can make it, da, 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 da. But somebody that's an actual academic that
That
made
type of
it
setting, right,
with all that he
right.
had to go through and the sacrifices that people make the parents
Every man.
make, you know what I mean, and this thing, because like my son sometimes says, he always quoting Tupac, I can never pay you back, you know, to understand this, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I understand, because I'm telling him I understand. I don't want you to have that stress now, but when you go, you appreciate things when you accomplish it yourself.
When you do it.
When you do
Dig
it.
in yourself.
The biggest
Dig in
thing-
You
yourself.
earn it yourself.
That's
The
You know what I
biggest
right.
mean?
thing I hope some of our listening audience take away from this is that excuse about daddy not being at home is dead.
But,
Drop it.
Drop it.
We need to get out of
Because
those.
here is someone who did not have his father
Did
in the
not.
house, okay?
And his village
He's
was
not
women.
effeminate. He's masculine.
Ooh, you better say
you
so.
understand? And he capitalized on the belief and hope that others had in him, right? And he had drive, he had grit, he had grace, and he had determination. So for those of you listening, to the single mother that may be listening,
That's
to the
it.
woman that just got divorced, or the woman that's in a marriage right now and is worried that, look, I'm scared to leave because my son needs a father in the home. I'm not saying that having a man in the home is not important, but there is still hope. You have Dr. Willie Underwood is an indicator. You have
Testimony to
people,
that.
a testimony to that. You have people like Barack Obama, didn't have his father in his life.
That's right. That's
There
right.
are others, to name a few, that have been able to go on and to do great things. So again, don't forget to
Yes.
like, to follow us on Apple Podcasts, Radio, Spotify, Radio, iHeartRadio,
All that.
wherever you get your major streaming podcast platform. Also, follow us on YouTube as well. Instagram at the Stir 716. Also follow us on YouTube at the Stir 716. Okay.
I love that. I just want to switch gears a little bit because I know our time may be getting
All right.
close. So I want to talk about health equity.
Okay.
Because I know this is something you're very passionate about.
Right.
Yes, you are a urologist, a surgeon, all that wonderful things. But let's talk about how this really impacts the Black and brown community. What is it about health equity, health policy that kind of drives your interest around getting the message out, and how do we find solutions to this? Because I know it's very layered and it's complicated. We can't figure it out on the Stir, but I'm asking you, like, and as now with your new appointment you're elected to the AMA the president, what is the AMA doing and what kind of conversations are happening around health equity?
Numerous. Okay.
Good.
So let's just sort of explain what this means.
Yes.
So, and I'll make it as simple as possible. Is that a disease is a disease, right? So if you have prostate cancer, you have cardiovascular disease, you have diabetes. That's the disease.
Yeah.
And it should be treated the same. And it's the same disease if it's in a rich person or a poor person,
Right.
a black person or a white person,
Disease
Okay.
don't
right?
discriminate.
Hispanic, correct. And so then why isn't it treated the same?
Yeah,
And why aren't the outcomes
the
the same?
same.
Simple. If the disease is the same, they should be treated the same outcomes.
Absolutely, I agree.
Okay, right? So health inequity, that's what it is. Is that if you're rich, if you're white, if you're educated, if you have insurance, if you have this and the other, your outcomes are better than those who don't meet those qualifications. But the disease is the same.
Same.
So that means that something is wrong.
Yes.
That's what makes it inequitable, right? The disparity.
Yes.
Okay. So, what does that mean for us? So, we know that it costs our nation now about $400 billion a year, which is going to be $1 trillion by 2040.
Wow.
An extra unnecessary healthcare cost, just
Wow.
because people aren't treated the same. They don't get the same outcomes. They don't get, right?
So
If you
there's a
start,
cost to inequity.
there's a cost.
It
to
is
that.
cost.
Then if you start laying on loss of productivity and stuff like that, that number goes significantly up. And that was a study by Deloitte in 2023. So, but if we fixed it, it would, over a 10-year period, increase our gross domestic product by $2.98 trillion.
So our GDP can be changed just by addressing health inequities and
Correct.
disparities.
Correct.
Wow.
So we become a more productive society.
Right.
So that's really the message that I talk about and the things I
Okay.
talk about. Now you can layer that in multiple ways and start breaking it down by disease and cohorts, right? Hispanics, LGBTQ, women, blacks, Asians, right? And there's all multiple, those with disabilities, those who are poor, those who live in rural areas, and all those things sort of matter in there. And that's what they call, you know, the idea of housing, the social determinants of health, and all those sort of income and all those things come together, right?
Right.
Okay, so why should we fix that? Because it undermines our ability to be a productive society. We're losing out on longevity of life. My grandmother lived to be 90. My grandfather lived to be 86. They were there to pour into me, their grandchild, to make me the man that I am. If they had died at 50 or 60, I would have missed out. And society would have missed
that's
out.
right.
Okay,
Absolutely.
right? So that alone makes a difference. Also, wealth is time and money
That's right.
and investment.
Yes.
So if you die younger, your ability to have created wealth to pass it on to your descendants
Generation.
Yes.
is shorter.
Yes.
Right? These are the kind of things of why that's important. Okay? As a society,
Yes.
right? And it's at everyone's best interest. And the AMA understands that, recognizes it, and we have multiple efforts. This administration is different, but we've worked with Congress on the pass legislation. We have the whole thing about, let's just take maternal mortality.
Yes, I was going to get into that.
Okay, let's just take that, for example. So my mother in the 60s had 3 pregnancies. One of them was, she had a miscarriage.
I like this story.
And she was hemorrhaging, and then she got a DNC. The second one was my sister Margie, and it was a traumatic delivery, and she bled a lot, and they saved it. So when the third one came along, me, they set her down and said, you know, we're concerned that if you have this child, that you might not survive it, because you barely survived the last one. So they offered her an abortion. Okay, right? 1960s. This is before Roe versus Wade. Right?
Okay.
Before, understand that?
Right.
And that was in the 70s. That was 74, I think. So she said no, and she risked it. She literally risked her life to bring me into this world. Unfortunately, everything went smoothly. Okay, so now we have 3 daughters through marriage. Correct. Through merger and acquisition, my wife and I have 3 daughters of childbearing age.
I like the way you phrase that, merger and acquisition.
Yes.
Childbearing age. So right now, those things that my mother got in the 1960s, in most states in this country, they can't get access to.
No.
Right? Under the same circumstances. They have a miscarriage and they're bleeding, they'll bleed to death in the parking lot. Okay?
Right.
Can't get care. So, right? But not only that though, if they choose to have a child, the risk of mortality is not equal to that of my mother's. All right, or better than that of my mother's, is equal to that of my grandmother, who had my mother and her kids in the 1940s. Right, there's something wrong with that.
Yes, sir.
This is 2025 in the richest country on the planet with the unbelievable healthcare system we have, but a black woman's outcomes is that of my grandmothers of the 1940s.
Yeah,
that's
correct.
The mortality rate has increased
That's
because I was working with another program where they're trying to increase that. They started off as a mommy village where they're trying to decrease those disparities and address, they're bringing in doulas. They're trying, those type of things to be amongst women throughout their pregnancies, because the mortality rate has not decreased, it's actually increased. And I think what brought the attention recently was when that athlete, that track and field
Olympic, wasn't she?
She passed away after childbirth, and I think that kind of sparked where the government says we're going to give money to these programs. However, but why does it take these deaths to bring attention to this? That's like he said, if a white woman goes in to have a baby, her care and her chances of surviving is greater.
Much more.
And why? Why are black and brown to people who are in the 40s? That makes no sense.
And so I'm glad Dr. Underwood, laid this out for us, and that the AMA is behind this, and that they're in support of it, and even talking about just society and this current administration, it's perfect timing that we have you on as a guest, because we know that the Senate just passed the big beautiful bill under the current administration, and should it go back to the House and be passed by the House, what this could potentially mean is that Medicaid will be slashed, almost 11 million people will lose coverage, almost 5 million will lose Affordable Care Act subsidies, SNAP food assistance will be gutted, climate policies will be reversed, and most of all, education will become privatized. The loss of healthcare is at risk, and we will watch rural hospitals close.
Yeah. And that's so unfortunate.
Yeah.
And that's
So
where we
And
are.
correct. And
How do, let us know, how do, for someone that may be listening or are up to date with the current events and are fearful, and what does the future hold, how do we navigate this? Like, what do we do should the House pass this?
so labor delivery units close, trauma centers close. You know, it doesn't matter if you're a Medicaid recipient or not. These things will impact us. So you imagine you get in a car accident, right? And you're taking your kid to play soccer down in no man's land or whatever, where they have these tournaments, and you get in a car accident, and there's no place nearby that can actually provide care for your child. You know, or labor and delivery, you're having a baby, and the way you're going to deliver it is 70 miles, 100 miles away. I mean, these are the kind of things that we're talking about. So I want to say this, and this is sort of the way I look at the future of healthcare in this country, is that what we don't have for healthcare is what the Republicans have for this agenda in their Project 2025. So there's no one sitting down right now and saying, what should healthcare look like in Erie County? What are the resources we need? How many physicians we gonna do? Our kids still can't read. So you can't have doctors in Buffalo when your children can't read. They can't become physicians. They can't become anything that moves the societies forward economically, innovation and stuff. Right? So that's what we ought to be doing. Right? We can fight this bill to the end, but the reason they're able to pass it because they had a plan.
Yes,
They had an agenda.
And for those that did not believe that Project 2025 existed, here's the proof.
Correct.
Right.
And
And they're starting to
shame
see and they're starting to see it now, but it's too late because we were warned before. So let's talk about black and brown and you being a urologist. And there's many black men and Hispanic men who are not aware what their PCA level. When I talk about PCA level, is it for your prostate level, right? Being a part of AMA and being a urologist, are there any plans to address or resources to encourage more black and brown men to seek treatment, or what the treatment looks like for them? I mean, outside of what is going to happen with the Medicaid and stuff like that, because that is going to be a concern. But how do we get more of the black and brown community and men?
So the PSA test, as we were saying, is a test that we use to sort of as an early detection mechanism, and the digital rectal exam to diagnose prostate cancer.
Yes.
So as a urologist and involved in the American Urologic Association and American Association of Clinical Urologists, those kind of individual disease things, they're the ones who would manage that, who deals with that. Well, the AMA deals with broader, complex policies, right? How do we pay for healthcare? How do we make sure these things? But again, I actually was involved in healthcare policy for the American Urologic Association, and I actually ran as a urologist. So I can address it. Plus, this is what I did for a living.
Absolutely.
Okay, right?
That's why I'm thinking it's good.
So what? And regarding to that, there's a couple things. Number one, we have to value our lives enough that we do the things necessary. Right? As a prostate cancer survivor, I got diagnosed at age 48. Right? I was getting a PSA every year. It started to rise. I sort of knew what to do. There's a whole drama story there. But I ended up getting a biopsy, getting positive, getting treated. Okay, right? So we cannot worry about having prostate cancer.
Right.
Well, we have to make sure that we don't have it.
Right.
Yes.
Right? By getting tested for it
Absolutely.
on a yearly basis. And if we do get it, we just treat it appropriately and go on with the rest of our lives.
Yes.
Why? Because Our children deserve to have a father like everyone else. Our nieces and nephews deserve to have an uncle like everyone else. Our grandchildren, future grandchildren deserve to have a grandfather like everyone else. And our jobs is to make sure that we live long and healthy lives so that we can contribute to the growth of our family and our community and our nation.
Absolutely.
That has to be our attitude. So that means that we live a life that gives us longevity. We exercise. We eat to the best of our ability. Now, I love chicken wings. I love pizza. I get all that. I'm not saying don't do that. But what I'm saying at the same time, every day I exercise. I work out every single day.
See?
Right? Every single day. Right? So yes, if I'm going to do certain things, because I still eat chicken wings, I'm eat pizza, but if I'm going to do that, then I got to get up and do the workout, right?
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, it's every day.
Every day.
So that improves my likelihood of having longevity.
Yes,
right?
yes, sir.
You know, just like I try to read every day, growing every day. All those things allow me to become the father I need to become, the grandfather that I hope to become one day in the future, right? And the great grandfathers, because I'm like, hey, how long do I want to live? I'm gonna die someday. That's all silliness, right? No, I'm gonna die rich and old.
Well, right now.
Speak that into existence.
Like, you know,
Yes.
But I hope our listeners is listening. Like, you know, you have to take care of self. Self-care is very important. And you know, the preventative is what, you know, and you can be preventative, you know, of how you carry yourself.
My mom always says an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure. You know, and so, you know, ladies, if you're listening, encourage your spouse, your partner, your mother, your father, go get checked. You know, men, if you're listening, go get checked.
And encourage each other. So some of the guys out there, older guys may remember Deacon Jones. So Deacon Jones is a Hall of Fame linebacker, hardcore football player, great athlete. So I met Deacon Jones. I used to do this thing for the NFL with prostate cancer. So I'm hanging out with Deacon Jones, and he told me his story. So he says Rosie Greer called him up, and Rosie Greer, if you don't know who he's, a massive man. He calls him up and he says, "Hey, Deke, you need to go get a PSA." He's like, "You go get a PSA?" He said, "You ain't listening to me. we having a communication problem. You thought I asked."
I'm telling you.
You thought I asked, right? So he did. He ended up having prostate cancer and getting treated. And Deacon Jones lived to be, quite an older guy and a great guy, right? I mean, Les Brown had prostate cancer. I mean, these are all. And I was on a program with Les Brown, years ago. I mean, these are things. Michael Haynes is another Hall of Fame player. These are guys who all had I throw their name out there because all had the opportunity of the work that I do and working with them on stuff and becoming real interaction with them. And Mike Jones and Michael Haynes and I became friends, and so we have to care for ourselves enough to care for ourselves. And to care for each other and to push each other and to make sure that we're doing the things that we need to do so that we can make our dreams come true.
Listen, we hope you've enjoyed Dr. Willie Underwood. We hope that you have had your notebook out, a pen, and you've learned some things, and that you are provoked, you are stirred to action after listening to this episode on the Stir 716. Dr. Underwood, before we get ready to wrap up this episode, we want to ask you two questions. What's next for Dr. Willie Underwood? We know you're president-elect to the MA, but what's next for you? What do you do next? So you're always doing something. Always still, right? What's next for you? And lastly, what are some key objectives that you hope our listening audience took away today from listening to you? What are you hoping that 8-year-old maybe could take away who may be listening with his mother? Or what do you hope that mother or that father or that aunt or that uncle who is listening, what do you hope that they can take away from listening to you today? So
for me, it's simple. My goal is to have town halls so that we can begin to create our future plan of what healthcare should look like.
Yes, please.
All right, so that's sort of
I love that.
Push that forward. And again, listen. Number one, you have to see greatness in yourself, to see greatness in your children. Number 2, be intentional. Create a strategic plan on how to educate your children and yourself, right? But by the way, if you're playing video games all day, you can't sit with your kid and say, I understand why you're not reading a book. Because the reason they're doing what you're doing, right? That's why kids are smokers smoke. Kids are parents who read, right?
Yes.
Kids are parents who exercise. So you have to be the change that you seek, as Gandhi said.
Yes,
And if you
right.
want that for yourself, then you want it for your children. I hear all the time, I mean, I mentor a lot of people. And the thing that, there's a lot of my mentees, to be honest, I want to pinch slap their parents. Because their parents have taught them self-doubt.
Yeah.
Wow.
And their parents,
Yes.
and they by the things that they say.
Yeah.
By what they said.
You know,
It's
and
true.
that it's clear. My mother had clear expectations, and you rise to those expectations. And when I when I met the expectation, I didn't get a cookie. She's like, giving you nothing. You met the expectation. You want something, you got to supersede it.
Right.
By far.
That's
You
it.
want
Yes,
something
yes.
special. Correct. You want something special. You don't just
Yeah.
get the,
Accolades.
people, kids, I'm going to close with this. Christmas ain't guaranteed.
Right. Okay, say that again, please.
It ain't guaranteed. It's earned.
Yes.
Say that
You
again.
gotta earn your Christmas. We
Absolutely.
just give our kids Christmas.
Yes.
Oh, you failed every class. Hey, what you want? You want an Xbox? Here you go.
Oh, you want your Jordans?
Correct.
Yeah,
That's right.
Even some of the teachers that I know, they can have students that are failing all year, barely graduated, barely passed to the next grade. But when you see them in the fall, when they come back, they are nice out, expensive clothes. Like, why are we rewarding?
What?
That-
Listen, that's a whole nother.
We're rewarding mediocrity and
Yeah.
celebrating stupidity.
Listen, that's a whole nother
That's
episode.
something we've done for a long time and wonder why you got grown men and women pouting.
Well, listen, that's a whole nother episode for
Yes,
another
ma'am.
time. We want to thank our listeners. Thank you so much. The people that are watching.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Tell somebody else about this. We will see you again in 2 weeks.
We want to thank Dr. Underwood for
Yes,
And
thank
don't
you
forget
so
to
much,
follow
sir.
at the
Follow.
Stir 716. Visit our website www.thestir716.com.
And this is the only place where education meets conversation. Take care. Good night.
I love that.
You like that?
Yeah, education, we
No, we don't. We turned off the mic.